spread the fire. Welcome back to SMWX, and I'm extremely excited to present Minister Jeff Radebe, who is a member of the ANC NEC, has been a minister in various administrations in our country, and has just come back from the ground.
Indeed.
To the Results Centre. Tata, thank you so much for joining us on SMWX.
Pleasure is mine. I'm happy to be here.
What's your mood as we go into the results of this election, and how are you feeling as the ANC after a grueling and a long campaign?
Well, we're very positive as the ANC. Speaking for myself, this morning I was in Staden, where I voted this morning, and the mood was extremely positive. I saw people in black, green and gold singing the song of the ANC, saying that President is the man, Ramaphosa is the man to lead this country. Then I now come from northwest in an area called Radebe. Also to the turnout seems to be very positive indeed. And now recently I was in Ward 71 in Atteridgeville here in Lwana. But I'm also at the same time disturbed about the reports that we have had that some voting stations have not yet been open, which means that those South Africans, if the IEC doesn't take decisive step to ensure that those people have a right to vote, they'll be denied the right to vote in South Africa.
Yeah.
So I do hope that the IEC, in their good judgment, will make sure that they probably extend the time and provide infrastructure so that those people can be able to exercise their constitutional right.
So your opponents on the campaign trail have said that the talk about fighting corruption is one thing, but it won't be followed up with action. What confidence can you give, especially young people in our country who are maybe just entering into the economy now, that this time you mean business?
Well, it's business unusual. As we have seen since the president took office in February of 2018, he has made sure that all various commissions of inquiry have been established, the principal one being the Zondo Commission on State Capture. We have seen that also as the ANC, we have not hesitated to take steps where some serious allegations have been leveled against our members. VBS scandal is a case in point.
Sure.
We've seen the New Dent Commission, which culminated with the firing of the Commissioner for SARS. Let's give the ANC the chance. There is a Paul Calvin at top level of the organization. At the rally in Ellis Park, the president means no words in ensuring that those who face serious charges, things has to be done.
There's a view that there might be some kind of counter-attack within the ANC after the election, and that maybe certain forces are waiting till after the election to counter. What do you think of that? Are you convinced that the movement will be united and will be able to govern in a solid way after this election?
Well, this movement, the ANC right now, is for hope, not despair. It's for renewal. All these things are just corridor talk. As a person who has been on the ground, I've seen all strands of the ANC, COSATU, SACP, within the ANC itself. Everybody has been on the ground.
And you've seen our country from so many different and interesting perspectives. I just wanted to take you up on criminal justice, which is something of an area of expertise of yours. How do you see the areas of criminal justice in our country in the next 5 years, and what do you think needs to be done going forward?
I see a huge paradigm shift in terms of the criminal justice system. Already the president started by putting into high office the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Batoy, who has made very good sound bites, not even sound bites, but policy statements that indicate that the role of a prosecutor is to prosecute without fear, favor or prejudice. I think we'll see a lot of action in that direction. We are seeing also too the shaking up of the South African Police Service with the appointment of various divisional heads by the Minister of Police, Peggy Cele. So we should be seeing a lot of action. Even the issues around KwaZulu-Natal, the killings that have characterized that province in the recent past, the arrest even of prominent members of the organization reflects that times are changing for the better.
And just finally on the question of energy, how do you think the question of energy security in our country relates to a young vibrant democracy, and especially the young people within our democracy going forward?
I would like to encourage young people in particular to have a close look at the energy complex as a whole.
Sure.
Because the future of any country cannot be there without energy. If you recall, the first worker state in Russia, in Soviet Union in 1917, when one peasant asked Lenin, what is socialism? He put it so simple that socialism is Soviet power coupled with the electrification of the Soviet Union, which means that without energy security of supply, you cannot be able to pump the industry. The economy will not drive. We see now when Eskom sneezes, the whole of South Africa catches the cold. That is why we need to fix Eskom, but not in the old way. We need to modernize it so we can see the trends that are happening around the world. Digitalization, ensuring that we decentralize, and also to ensure that ordinary people can even be involved in the provision of electricity. We talk now about prosumers, where people who have their solar panels, when they're no longer used, if they exceed that domestic use, what do they do with it? They have to sell back into the grid, which means that there must be a paradigm shift in the manner in which we look at the issue of energy.
Dada, thank you so much, and all the best for tomorrow's results.
My pleasure.
Spread the fire. Ayeye, welcome back to SMWX. I'm here with Zanele Lwana, Deputy President of Black First, Land First, and my old friend from university.
Indeed.
So good to be with you, Zanele. Thanks for joining us on SMWX. Before we get into some of these court battles, I just wanted to know from you how you're feeling ahead of the election. You know, this is BLF's first election, and what's the mood as we go into tomorrow?
Yes, greetings to your subscribers and viewers, actually. We are very confident as Black First, Land First that we will get representation in Parliament. In fact, from this morning, we have been getting calls and messages of support from all over the country, from people who have been following our movement for such a long time. I'm sure you know that we are a different movement as compared to other mainstream political parties because of an ideological stance that we have adopted as Black First, Land First. Going into these elections, we are the only movement that does not accept white people. We are a blacks-only movement, and we take inspiration from the Black Consciousness movement, from Steve Bantu Biko. So we are very confident that because of what we have presented to the nation of South Africa in terms of saying, first and foremost, South Africa is a black country. There is land. We live in a rich country. We cannot accept a situation where the black majority lives in poverty. We believe just because of that and the fearlessness of the kind of brand we have built around our movement, young people, and in particular people who want serious change, are going to give us the vote.
No, it'll be very interesting to watch how it goes, and I'm looking forward to the results tomorrow. Now, because of the positions you've taken, you've been challenged by the VF Plus. There have been various court actions, in fact, and I'd really just like to know if you can explain for our subscribers. It seems to me that you've scored a lot of victories. They've been presented as defeats, but I tried to research and I could find maybe one small defeat on the slogan question. But take us through, because people have tried to get you off the ballot. People have tried to remove your slogan, and there's also something coming up later. So can you just take us through all these court challenges on your movement?
Yes, we registered, in fact, as a political party to the Independent Electoral Commission by September 2016. And from that period already, there was a period open for aggrieved parties to object to our registration and all of that. All these parties, including Freedom Front Plus, the likes of Democratic Alliance and other racist organizations such as Solidarity, did not use that opportunity. We believe as Black First, Land First, they underestimated us. They thought we are a very small movement with no constituency, but most importantly, they thought we would not afford the 600,000 rand deposit required by the IEC so that we can contest elections. They were proven wrong. And as a result, the Freedom Front Plus first went to the Electoral Court and withdrew the application from the Electoral Court, and then submitted an application of condonation to be allowed an opportunity to appeal our registration as Black First Land First.
Right.
They were dismissed by the IEC. They went back to court to try and deregister our movement. All the court said was that the IEC must publicly gazette the registration of our party. They did not pronounce on whether they are in a position to remove our movement from these elections.
Right.
And as a result, we were not removed from these elections. And that is why we interpret that as victory. Because if you look at a party such as the Freedom Front Plus, which has an entire all-white leadership, which we believe is advocating for a Boerestad, for a South Africa resembling that of the apartheid era, it is very ironic that they would drag us to court. We believe as Black First Land First, and I think this point we must make it clear, our people make a mistake of equating the Freedom Front Plus and Black First Land First, saying these are two movements at the extremes. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are racist movements.
What do you say to
we
that
believe
narrative?
as Black First Land First, we represent the black majority. Black people are victims of racism. Black people cannot be racist. We do not have the institutional power to oppress another race. And what we are advocating for as Black First Land First, we have described it as positive discrimination, to say that we are going to unite on the commonness, on the basis of our shared oppression. This is between the colored community, the Indian community, and the African community as well. What we want at the end is an equal society where both black and white live together equally. But it is impossible now because of the unevenness of what it means to be white and to be black in South Africa.
Sure, and take us through then the second dispute.
Yes.
So you're here, you're on the ballot. I mean, that's done. Then there was this dispute over the land or death slogan.
Yes.
Take us through that process, which I think has just, some conclusion was reached a few days ago.
Yes. Now there is a white woman. We believe she is a member of another racist group of AfriForum. She had went to the South African Human Rights Commission to say, here is Black First Land First. They have a slogan, land or death. I feel intimidated. I feel threatened. I feel that my life is at risk. Therefore, investigate this matter. The South African Human Rights Commission took up the matter as their own, provided legal representation to this white woman, and took the matter to Equality Court. In fact, at the beginning of the matter, we said, okay, there is nothing we can do if you decide that there's merits in the case and therefore you are going to represent the white woman. What we are saying is that you know as well that Black First Land First is a very poor movement. And for the sake of evenness, if you provide legal representation to the complainant, therefore the respondent should be granted the same. And the South African Human Rights Commission completely dismissed us. We even explored an option of mediation with the South African Human Rights Commission while the case was still ongoing with the Equality Court. They imposed the CEO of the South African Human Rights Commission as the mediator. And we objected to that as Black First Land First, to say that you cannot be an interested party. So you want to be the referee, you want to be the judge, and you want to pronounce on the matter. There is clear bias, and we do not believe as Black First Land First we will get a just resolution into this matter. Then the matter was concluded in court.
Sure, and you intend on challenging the outcome in court?
Yes, so the main at the center of this application was to again deregister Black First Land First. But part of the application was to want the court to declare our slogan, land or death, as hate speech, and the court did so. So as Black First Land First, we do not believe, first of all, our slogan is land or death is hate speech. That is why, as a result, we are going to take this matter into appeal. We believe the magistrate that was presiding over this matter made a huge error. You would know, if you follow the news, that the Forum for Freedom of Expression, if I'm reciting it correctly, released a statement saying this sets a very bad precedent, and we believe as Black First Land First, if we take this matter into a higher court, they would obviously get into a different conclusion or determination on whether our slogan is hate speech or not. So part of the ruling was that within a month, we must apologize to South Africans. We must remove land or death from our regalia as a movement and from all our publications. We are not going to do any of that. We are going to take the matter into appeal.
Well, wishing you all the best. Thanks for clarifying all of this for our subscribers, and hope we can chat further in the future.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow we are back in court on a matter with Patrice Motsepe.
You're back in court on a matter with Patrice Motsepe?
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
There had been reports, media reports from Botswana around the involvement of Bridget Radebe, who is the sister of Patrice Motsepe, on her involvement in funding the campaign of the main contender who wanted to contest the sitting president, President Mosesi of Botswana. We also know that the Motsepe family is intrinsically involved in the business of diamond. And we know that diamond is one of the minerals that the country of Botswana specializes in. So we interpret this as Black First Land First as an interference to the sovereignty of the state of Botswana. We believe this is an interference to strengthen the hand of white monopoly capital, and all we just said as Black First Land First really is that hands off Botswana, allow Botswana to take care of their own affairs. Motsepe believes this is defamation of character. And that is why he has brought the matter on an urgent basis to court. So we are going to be there. You would remember that, in fact, a party such as the Economic Freedom Fighters had threatened to reveal information on the independent power producers that involve, again, Patrice Motsepe through his businesses. He did not take them to court. In fact, he had a meeting with them, and we have not heard Julius Malema making noise about the IPPs. Unfortunately, you cannot buy a movement such as Black First Land First, so we will meet in court tomorrow with Patrice Motsepe.
It's going to be a very interesting one, and looking forward to following that as well. And hopefully we can chat to you on that as it unfolds.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zanele. Spread the fire. I'm here with Philip van Staden, who is the Deputy Chairperson of Gauteng for FF+. Philip, thanks for joining us on SMWX.
Thank you very much.
Firstly, how has the campaign been going? There's some very worried looks in the DA, given that you may be eating into various parts of the electorate. How are you feeling ahead of the results?
We had a very well-run campaign the past year. We are very well run in the streets, in the street corners, on a lower level in the communities. And we feel very positive that we will have a positive outcome tonight when the election results start coming in tonight and tomorrow. So we are going to take some votes away from various parties on national level. We've got word from the streets 3 weeks ago that in certain areas people are campaigning out of their own for us. So that's a positive for the Freedom Front Plus. And we're going to take some votes from the DA as well. Yes.
And what are the areas in this election where you're looking to do well? Are there any specific regions in the country where you're really focusing your attention?
Well, we actually across the country we're going to do well, but the good parts will be the Western Cape for sure, and then Gauteng, the Free State. Don't throw the Free State away. Limpopo, Mpumalanga, we might get seats in the legislatures there, which we didn't have in the past. So that is positive for us. So we are growing. But let's see how the numbers tonight are coming out.
Yeah, should be interesting.
Yes.
And what are the issues that are really concerning your constituency as you've been on the campaign trail? What are the issues that you think people care the most about?
Oh, there's a lot. The first thing is the land expropriation without compensation. Then there's the infrastructures countrywide which is falling apart. The education in the schools is not up to standard. And all those, we can go on, the list is very long.
Sure.
So there's a big list. South Africa is in a dismantle at this stage. We have problems if we don't fix it now. And that's why we said to the voters, if you want to fix the problems of South Africa, go out and vote. Don't stay at home. But you must go out and vote. And support the Freedom Front Plus. And we will make sure that your voice will be heard in the councils of this country, whether it's on legislature or provincial levels or on National Assembly.
Now, Philip, you've been involved in some recent litigation and court actions, particularly as they relate to the BLF, the Black First Land First movement. Take us through your position on the Black First Land First movement and the application that sought to deregister them from the ballot.
Well, the FF Plus stands points of view on the BLF was from the start that in their constitution They only make rules for certain group of a population who can join their party. Now that is against the Constitution of South Africa. The Constitution states very clearly that you are not allowed to do that, and that every party who's registered at the IEC must be open for all, whether they want to join you or not. And that's why we went to electoral court to try to dismissal the BLF from these elections. Well, the court gave us an answer and said, yeah, the Freedom Front Plus were correct, but IEC did not take the right measures to register them as a party, and they must publish it in the government gazette. According to my knowledge, it was still not done. So it can have consequences on the election results, but let's look at after what's going to happen and what the stance is the party, the Freedom Front, is going to take after the election results is available.
So your view is that the mistake to not publish the BLF as is supposed to be done by the IEC wasn't taken, and that is a technicality which should preclude the BLF from contesting.
That's right, yes. So the court actually came and said the Freedom Front Plus is correct. The IEC did not follow the correct measures by not publishing it in the government gazette, and they didn't adhere to the problem. So yeah.
And any plans after the election, perhaps to issue another challenge or to maybe contest?
Well, we will see what's going to happen,
Right.
and that's a decision the party or national level have to take. Yes.
So you're keeping your options open?
We're
on that
keeping
front.
our options open. Yes.
Well, Philip, thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us,
very
and
much.
we'll see what happens when the results start coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Spread the fire. Welcome to SMWX. And I have Executive Group Communications for Telkom, Moeketsi with me. I'm extremely excited for this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on SMWX.
Thank you, Sizwe.
You know, Telkom has provided the entire ICT infrastructure for this election and this results center. But in many ways, that goes invisible. How has bringing together this incredibly important infrastructure to our democracy happened?
Yep, no, thank you. Yes, it's quite important actually. So, you know, the election day itself is a very important one for South Africans, and it's important for them to be able to cast that vote and to be able to see what happens afterwards. So Telkom, as the ICT partner with the IEC, we've really just made sure that the backbone of the elections is covered. I mean, just to give you a few facts, is that we're running on 46,000 kilometers of fiber across the country. We've connected all 9 provinces to the nerve center.
Wow.
So the results will be coming in live or real time, much quicker on the fiber network. So all of that, you know, takes months and months of planning, and you know, lots of man hours. We have at least 1,000 technicians around the country just making sure that the network is stable and no glitches for the next couple of days to make sure that everything works well.
And how does this infrastructure differ from what's been done in previous elections?
I think the most important one is that everything is now running off fiber, whereas you have no copper connectivity. So even if somebody cut the copper cable,
Sure.
nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you know, so everything runs on fiber. It's much faster,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's much more secure, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So our subscribers are on WhatsApp. Data is a crucial aspect of their lives. What's your view around the question of data in our economy right now and the importance of access to data?
Well, I mean, from a Telkom point of view, we certainly see ourselves as a champion for data. You would have seen our packages are quite compelling, much lower than the competition, and we think we're really doing well from a data point of view. We certainly believe that data is where everybody is, and we're making sure that everybody has access to data. As far as our vision is about, it's about, you know, connecting South Africans to a better life, and a better life is many things for them, and data is one of those things that you know will allow people to get access to information.
And I think making WhatsApp free on various packages is quite an interesting innovation. How do you see WhatsApp in the information economy in South Africa right now?
Look, WhatsApp is a very interesting platform at the moment, and it's a crucial social networking space. Families, friends, everybody kind of meets up on WhatsApp, and so WhatsApp is becoming that one space where you can have select groups that you want to speak to, so you don't have people just, you know, sending you stuff. So you can actually decide what you want. So you can be a lot more selective about the people that you want to speak to. So I think WhatsApp has got that ability.
I love the fact that your answers are a lot shorter than politicians' answers, by the way. I'm not used to actually someone answering in a short, crisp way.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the fourth industrial revolution, this has been a big buzzword, and it's not exactly always clear what it means. How are you at Telkom seeing the new era in terms of technology and information that we're going into?
I mean, 4IR, yeah, in many ways it's just a buzzword. It seems like a buzzword, but I mean, it's real in many ways. And from a Telkom point of view, is to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place to enable whether small businesses and big enterprises to make sure that they have the infrastructure to run your Internet of Things. Where machine learning is now possible, but you need the right connectivity to be able to do that. And from a Telkom point of view, that's where we're investing our resources to make sure that capital goes into making sure that we have a strong, robust platform to make sure that things, that revolution actually happens and it's accessible to everybody.
Absolutely. And just as we end off, you've provided the infrastructure for this election, but that's all for our democracy. What are your hopes as we go into the most important election in many ways in our young democracy's history?
So, I mean, absolutely, for me, I'm very excited. I've done my cross, and I'm hoping that whichever party wins, they take the people's concerns into heart. There's a lot that still needs to happen in the country, but there's a lot of ability to grow. There's a lot of potential. The youth are really doing well. They have so many things that they can work on. So I think that we can only get better. So for me, it's about we have the opportunity to have our voices heard, but also to protect the democracy and to protect our rights as well as we do this.
Mr. Mochumi, thanks for helping us spread the fire.
Thank you, man.
SMWX. No young people are around the decision-making table. Let some new voices come to the fore. Follow us on WhatsApp and catch us live Tuesdays and Thursdays. Out with the old, in with the new. SMWX.